think you've just, you've just really nailed something that we briefly spoke about a couple of weeks ago. There's a gentleman called Brad Smart who wrote, he's written a series of really great books called Top Grading. And it's all about that whole hiring process in certain industries and things like that. And he actually defined, people looking for a job or looking for an assignment, so it might be an agency, he defines them as sort of A players and superstars. And he says they tend to be as interested in the product and interested in what you have to offer and what you're looking for as vice versa. He said this tends to be a real characteristic of them. And I just think at this stage, one thing that we need to also make a point of here is that, this whole references and case studies thing, it's not necessarily meant to sort of attempt to sort of call someone out or show how it's a two-way therapeutic sort of conversation and process, because a lot of the time the agency might turn around and say, okay, well, thanks for letting us know that this isn't possibly your area. We might just get you to research it for us then, or something else like that,
Well, it's transparency both ways, and it's relevance both ways, which is to say, agencies want to be working with the right clients, or they should do, because that's going to be a long-term relationship where everybody gets a good outcome from the thing. Everybody wins. Sean's clients win, he wins, the agency keeps getting paid because they're doing a good job. Google wins because they're buying all the clicks that they want to get out of Google, and so on and so forth. It's a complete win situation all the way around, and that's what we're trying to achieve. People want stuff and need stuff, and they have to find the right supplier for this under the right terms and conditions and the right costs and so forth. And part of that, like we've said quite often, I think, is there's a good fit and there's not a good fit, and you want to avoid the fit that isn't a good one, because ultimately it's not going to work out. And sometimes it all ends in tears.
Oh, don't we know it?
And we don't want that. Christ, I'm a professional person. I don't want things to go badly. Not from, and knowingly from the outset, not being able to do a good job of this. Because, here's the thing, as we've spoken about before, I generally focus my management work in the e-commerce industry, and as opposed to lead generation. There are exceptions, but, if somebody comes to me for lead generation, I'm going to send them to another agency that I have a relationship with, because it takes them into areas that are really, not only is it not my speciality, but it's also something I'm not going to feel good about. Do I feel empathy with this thing? Do I relate to it? Does it interest me? Am I curious about it? Is it something that has something that is attractive to me about it? Would I like to learn about it? Would I like to learn about it? I haven't worked with hypnotherapists specifically, but I've worked with kind of anxiety or bad practices type of things. So I've had some experience of that. I'd be curious to learn more about it. Actually, I've consulted with somebody who is in hypnotherapy for smoking, and so I've kind of been on the outside edge of that in a consultancy way. But it also, if I don't have direct industry experience, then I would. If Sean was looking for a PPC agency who specialised in hypnotherapy, right? Now, whether he'd find one of those, I really don't know.
But this goes back to sort of what you do with a lot of your coaching clients when you're speaking to them, when AdWords agencies and managers call you and they're trying to figure something out, or they're complaining that they don't have the best sort of clients. This is where there's a wonderful opportunity for them just to sort of really find that niche,
Oh yeah.
Or a couple of niches.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I could say, if I really, really wanted to completely specialize in something that totally lights me up, I would say I work with e-commerce clients. I work with e-commerce clients who sell music. like instruments or music related stuff, and I could turn every other e-commerce client on the planet away and just say, music is the thing that lights me up totally. I adore it, everything connected with it. We're in a musical family here, we play instruments and so on and so on, and that's my thing.
But and then directly in line with that, there would be case studies and references, because you've got your clients, I mean, because there's two senses of accountability here, and we're really trying to make a point of sort of understanding that on one side, what the agencies or what the companies stipulate that they're looking for, because I'm just going through some here, and we went through the other day, this one agency says the ideal candidate for this role, at least 9 months experience within PPC. So someone's looking for a job and they're saying, have at least 9 months. Now, I don't know about you, but 9 months, I mean, that's just a little longer than a football season here, There's another one here. It says, work alongside other team members for each of the other markets, Another one says, again, 1 year's PPC experience, experience in managing AdWords campaigns,
Very vague, isn't it?
Isn't it just? And I think where and interestingly enough, something that we mentioned in one of the earlier sessions, this person's actually saying you need to have the ability to delegate, manage, and achieve the PPC success through others.
Oh God! Well, you've got to be.
Well, we talked about it.
First,
yeah,
well, you could do that.
This is the thing, and this is so, and so. Really, I think this is where it's really, really important that everybody sort of listening to this particular session understands this whole references and case studies. I think the companies themselves, the managers and the agencies, could probably look to nail their colours to a certain industry, or a handful of industries for that matter, but also just highlight some references, because the other thing that Brad Smart said as well, he said, if I was to talk to some of your previous clients and ask them to explain your strengths and your weaknesses, some of your positives, maybe one or two of the not so cool experiences of the project. Now, it might be, listen, I liked this guy, he was great, we just didn't make any money from it. That's okay, he says, but he turned it around and said, if I were to speak to them, what would they say, sort of thing. And I think this is another handy thing to be able to throw out there.
There's also this thing about testimonials, or whatever you want to call them. What other people say about you, and that's far more important, obviously, than what you say about yourself. You can say stuff about yourself, that's fine, but it's really about what other people say about you. And here's the thing. You really need, there's a protocol, if I can use the word, to this, which is to say a testimonial or a reference which is along the lines of, he was great and did a good job and we enjoyed working with each other and we got on well and I'd recommend him to anybody. I mean, that's pretty useless. So
that means he'll be good to go and have a few jars with, basically.
If that's what you want.
Yeah.
Our hero, Sean D'Souza, really goes on about how to get the right testimonials, there's a formula for this, if you like. It's not difficult, but you need to have good testimonials which address the right things of interest before they really have any value. I don't know whether, I'm sure you do. You find yourself on a website somewhere and you read what other people comment about, their testimonials and whatnot, and you read them and you're like, that is not a good testimonial. That really tells me either very little or nothing about what happened.
Yeah.
It's got to be something that's really. So I came up with, based on some of Sean's teachings, but also I expanded it a little bit, and I came up with a template. And you can put, if you need to gather. If a service provider needs to gather testimonials, then you really just need this one simple template, because the thing about gathering testimonials is frequently people don't do it because it's tedious, time consuming, they don't get what they want, people don't want to give it to them, and all of these things. But if you make it easy to gather a testimonial or a reference or whatever, and give somebody something which is fast and quick and straightforward and easy to do, they'll do it for you. Because most of the time, people who like you are not backward in coming forward about saying that.
No.
So, you just need, and I've got a form on my website And I just get people to go and fill in these questions, you know, who are you, where are you from, where do you know me from, what were you looking for, what were your problems, what did you get as a result, how did this help you? I'm just, you know, rattling stuff off the top of my head. But it's objective.
Yeah.
It's really about, you know, what was the absolute benefit that I got out of all this? You know, and you can quantify that in terms of hours saved or money saved or new clients acquired or money earned or, you know, whatever. But that's what you've got to have. And really you need it, like in Sean's case, like we've been talking about here, really we need it for hypnotherapy providers.
Yeah, indeed. I'm gonna, with your okay, I'll put a link to your testimonial form that you did. I'll put that under here so that folks can click on and have a look at that. Okay, Dale. No, that was really good, and I just feel that, you know, collectively we felt the need, you know, based on also sort of knowing the questions to ask. You know, I just felt that this was probably one real big thing that folks need to really narrow down on: the references, the case studies, and the testimonial side of it, just in line with exactly what it is that you're looking for.
It's all about the relevance of each party to each other, and that you can prove that. You know, because like I said before, it's a job interview, and Sean or a hypnotherapist or whatever is looking for a PPC agency who can do a good job for him to quantifiable goals in terms of increasing his income, increasing his client base and increasing his income. So how do they prove that they can do that? So, you know, the agency then has to come up with some, either they've done it or they are very confident they can do it, or they can reverse the risk, which is, you know, well, we'll do it for you and you can try it out and, you know, don't pay us provided you've got all these resources, but if you like what you get, then, you know, carry on and we'll charge you or whatever. You know, try it for 7 days for free or not. You know, it's just a bit of our time to do this. It's not terribly difficult. The other thing though is that, and in Sean's case, the answer to this is yes, because excuse me, a website owner, a business owner who is a website owner, has to be able to do stuff with their website because the agency requires that, which is you've got to place tracking code. You've got to move stuff around and have a call to action, which you don't have, and stuff like that. And in fact, we can't take you on as a client. This is our checklist as an agency. We can't even take you on as a client if you can't do all that stuff. Now, in Sean's case, the agency was handling his website for him, so they could do all that stuff. So that situation didn't arise. But if an agency is looking at, you know, hiring a client, then that client has got to have resources to be able to do stuff. Because if he can't change stuff and do what the agency tells him to do and put tracking code and do this and stop doing that and what have you, then it ain't going to work. It's a two-way street. Nobody's telepathic. I always used to say this as the IT guy, you know. If you got a problem, I don't practice telepathy. You have to tell me, right? If you tell me that you have a problem, I stand a chance at fixing it because that's what I'm here for, and I'm very happy to do that. But you got to tell me what it is.
All right. Well, this is as always. I'm hoping that the sort of our own references to this and the case studies here will provoke the right kind of sort of action from folks here, because we want to just we want this to work for both parties. We want
has to,
both to be responsibility.
There's no long-term future in it otherwise, and I'm not into working with clients for a few months and then having to find more clients and then working with them for a few months, then having to find more clients and so forth. You know, I'm in it from a job perspective. You know, we've spoke about it before, but you know, I got into this game by accident, but what I was trying to do was I was trying to create a salary for myself. The work that I was going to be doing had to create a salary for me because I didn't have a salary any longer because I was out of a job. So how do I recreate a salary? Well, that's an ongoing monthly thing. So you've got to have a long-term situation going on.
Indeed. Dia, thank you for this. This was, I believe, a couple of chats that I really do believe everyone's going to find very, very beneficial. Thanks for sharing the link to the testimonials as well, so people can see that and they can really prepare for that initial conversation, because of course it's starting with the end in mind, isn't it? It's making sure that everything is in place prior to pulling the trigger.
Yeah, I mean, just like Stephen Covey said, absolutely one of the 7 habits, which is, you're on a journey, you're starting off, but you've got, and I actually have, there's several metaphors with this whole AdWords game. You can look at it like it's Monopoly. You can look at it like it's a taxi ride.
Yeah.
You get in the taxi, where do you want to go? Or you get in your car, where do you want to go? Have you got enough fuel?
Yeah, yeah.
Your fuel's your budget. Can you take the brakes off? Can you drive this thing? Can you go flat out, or should you obey a speed limit? There's a lot of these sorts of things, but you've got to know where you're going and what it looks like when you get there.
So continue to look over those bullet points and ask the right questions, because again, in sort of my world with the direct response and the copywriting and things like that, we're fully aware that people tend to make irrational decisions, and highly emotional. And when we listen to that clip from Sean, when he sort of said his intuition, he had a warm, fuzzy glow about it, and so on and so forth.
This is the thing. I mean, you do have to feel right, and you said about that earlier, and I agree with it. It does have to feel right, but you've still got to have the right. You've got to be able to ask the right questions and get the right answers, because in this game of buying a service, people will sell their service on your emotions.
Exactly. Exactly.
What we're trying to avoid is something going wrong.
Yeah.
So that you felt good emotionally about it, but to start with, but then you end up with not the right result, and that's a data thing. We're trying to put money in and create more money out, and that's the goal.
And as Evan Pagan said, just to conclude, he says that the smart talkers don't always tend to be the smart doers.
The two are not necessarily the same.
Yeah.
And they could be the same, but
of course they can.
You've got to be sure,
as
sure as you can be before. What you're doing is you're giving a stranger your money.
Yeah.
And he's going to spend it. Google doesn't care; they'll take that money. No problem.
Gladly. But and I suppose that there's nothing necessarily smart that goes into saying, here's a demonstration of what I've done. Here is what people are saying I bring to the table. You don't need to be smart to do that. You can be smart to say, listen, I'll turn up every day and I'll be there for you and I understand what you're going through and stuff. So I think that's the beauty of a lot of the questions you have put in there. And then you can combine them if you like, So if they want to take the emotion out, there are some cold, hard stats and facts and numbers to show that they can do what they say they can do. Yeah,
that's what you've got to have if you can get it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like Gordon Gekko says in Wall Street 2. We always have this media back and forth which we enjoy. Gordon Gekko in Wall Street 2, and I said it years ago actually, because Google says the same thing. Speculation is the mother of all evil.
Yeah. And I kind of like Gecko's one in one way he calls it a dog with fleas,
It's a dog with fleas.
It's pretty rough too. DR, thanks as always. This has been a deep one, and this will ask some pretty provocative questions. However, if you're the right kind of agency too, you will actually go out there and begin to work on getting these references and demonstrating these case studies.
And the other thing that comes straight out of that, I know we're about to wrap up, but it's a great point, which is to say, if you want to get into this game as an agency, this is your fast track.
Yeah.
Because this will give you all the questions that you need to be able to ask and get answers to, to hire the right clients, and for the clients to be comfortable knowing they're hiring the right agency to spend their money.
Yeah, indeed. DR, as always, thank you very much for this.
You're welcome, my man. Thank you.